Hi, everyone. So it's been a minute since my last share, which means that there's a lot that has happened and a lot that's been on my mind. And I wanted to start out just by prefacing where I'm at and that things are moving so fast right now. I feel like I'm really living in breakthrough. And because that can feel overwhelming to try to bring people on a journey with me when there's so much going on, I really tuned into my own process and practice and the overarching goal that I am really showing up. I'm doing what I want to do. I'm listening to my own needs and desires, and I am taking action based on that. So, with that said, I'm going to flip this around. So, one of the things I'm trying is experimenting. I don't love taking videos with my phone. I don't love holding up my phone and doing it this way, but I decided to try it because I can show you the things I have written a little bit easier. So, we're going to start over here. And this is my framework for sharing. So I decided that one of my main goals right now is to get into a natural rhythm where I'm sharing my work as I'm going along. Because up until now, I have shared very sporadically, and I might share a few things and then not share anything for a while. And what happened, I'm going to let my kitty in. You can come. Come on. You can come. Come on. I know. So this is part of another part of something that I wanted to talk about today. And she just decided that we're going to do this now. So this is my little cat, Grace. We don't know how old she is because she's a rescue, but she's on her way out of this world. And so we're taking care of her the best we can while we can. And so she gets everything she wants when she wants it. And this is her room now. She lives in my office, basically. So this relates to the concept of life is lifing. There's a lot of stuff that's actually going on in my life, and I've been feeling grief over several things, her being one of them. And I'm also feeling some of the most joy and having more of these creative breakthroughs than I ever have. So it's about honoring whatever is happening. And I prioritize her care, and I'm also prioritizing my business. So I'm doing both at the same time. So here she is. And I'll go back to what I was talking about with sharing. So, what happened this time around is I shared a video, and then I, here, I'll turn it back around. So, I shared a video a little over a week ago, and I shared it because I had something that I wanted to say. I knew what I wanted to say. I did it, and then I wanted to get it out. So I just did all the post processing right after I uploaded it to YouTube. I created a title and a description, and then I wrote an email around it, which took me a while. And by the time I was done with the email, I was tired. I had expended more energy than I had wanted to. And so I realized that that's not the way that I wanted to work. Recording the video was fun. I really enjoyed recording the video. And the rest of it was not fun. So I actually recorded another video the next day, and you haven't seen it yet, or maybe you have by now, by the time that I've let this one out. But I didn't send it out because I didn't know how to do the other parts of it in a way that was in alignment with how I want to work. So I decided that it is a priority for me to discover a way to just integrate sharing into my rhythms and routines. And so I came up with this framework. So I started a new giant sheet of paper, and I came up with this framework about what do I want to share, so that I'm always sharing what I want to share. I'm not sharing what I think I should share, what I think people need to hear. It's like, what am I excited about? What do I want to share? And so these are the categories that it could fall into, what I'm working on. And that's what I started out sharing when I shared this, which we'll come back to later. It's gotten a little bit more filled out since last time, uh, developing my coaching program. Also sharing my insights and breakthroughs that I'm having. I can share my process around my work, my creative process, my healing process, learning. I can also share what's inspiring me. I watched some cool videos last week that I would like to share. So that's another piece. And then resources and tools. So my idea is that I started this sheet, and in the center, I have what guides me. Okay, what do I want to share? And then around this, I'm going to be filling this out over time to be more clear on how I'm sharing and how am I integrating that into my life and my work in a way that really works for me. So one of the things that I have over here in my program is this idea of calendar bliss. And it is where I'm scheduling things. First, I'm scheduling things that I just want to do because I want to do them, not because I want an outcome. But also, I'm paying attention to what actually works well for me. Does it work well for me to do what I'm doing today, which is I'm sharing after breakfast, after I've had some time in the morning to really go over what I've learned and what do I want to share. And do I want to do this on a daily basis, on a weekly basis? Maybe it varies with my monthly cycle. And I'm just in that question of, so I started out with what do I want to share? And then now as I'm talking about it, I can think about adding in, when do I want to share? How do I want to share? Which is videos, but also the other parts of the process. Like, how do I make those parts fun, easy, effective? I'm not all about it has to be efficient. It can take a longer time if I'm enjoying it. I'm also for efficiency and bundling things. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm using my own process where I start with what's working well, and then what is not working well, or what would I like to change. And then I'm just asking those questions, and I'm getting quiet and I'm listening to receive. So before I started this video, I went outside and I sat down and I asked myself the question, what do I want to share? And then I just focused on my breath and had my attention down in my body, and I was listening. And then I wrote things down as they were coming up. So I have a little note card to keep me on track with what I wanted to share. Also, being okay with going off track, because it's all part of the track. The creative process is messy, and that's what I'm showing you. So it's a nice balance of the structure and flexibility, and having some structure can actually help me get into the flow more, where if I just start recording a video and I don't know what I want to cover or what I want to focus on, it could go on for a really long time and I might not say the most important things. So this is a big part. I'm experimenting, and it's funny because I realized this right before recording this video, that over here where I have a bunch of things that talks about how my program is run, kind of the qualities of my program, I realized I didn't have experiment in here. And I was thinking, oh, you all could watch me add stuff, but I can't actually write and hold the phone at the same time. So I'm learning that. Um, and that is a key part of the process, is that it's just being willing to experiment and asking myself these questions. I'm doing a grand experiment right now on what happens when I prioritize my health and create a flow. And I just ask myself the question, what do I want? What do I need? And go from there. So that's kind of a big experiment. So I will just show some of this. I don't know. I think I talked a little bit about the metaphors last time. Something that I've added since then is this word retain. So this was a big thing that came up. Over here, I have a lot of words that start with RE. And these are just words that were coming to me that describe my work and how I want to live in life. And also, I have a release. I realized something about how I was trying to retain everything in my mind, all of the things that I've learned, how it all fits together. All I was trying to retain the big picture and all the details. And no wonder I was feeling tired because, first of all, it's not possible. Our minds can only hold so much at a time, and it's a misunderstanding of how humans work that we have access to what we've learned. It's you can't have it all up front all the time. That's not even desirable. But something will happen that will spark that connection. So it's a matter of trusting that I don't need all of it up front all at the same time, but I can trust it. So the how this came to be. I delivered a workshop. I facilitated a workshop last week for a group of women who were in this mentoring program for women leaders. And I focused on self-leadership because I believe self-leadership is the foundation for leadership, and my work creates the foundation for self-leadership. And I facilitated the workshop. I went through the cycles of being really excited about it and being in creative flow and enjoying myself, and then getting into the fear cycle where I was worried about what was going to happen or how I couldn't do it well enough. And I got coached around it and I got back into my flow. And I showed up for the workshop in a way that I've never showed up before because I had a key coaching call actually the morning of the workshop where I was getting coached, and I was able to see really clearly the self-imposed restriction that I had placed on myself because I'd had the experience where I didn't prepare enough for a workshop for something I was leading, and I was trying to go in and just tune in and be in a flow state and allow that to guide me, and that has not really worked well. And I've done the opposite where I've planned out every single detail. And so I know how I'm going to start. I know the examples I'm going to use. I know what uh, exercises I'm going to facilitate for the participants and how much time each is going to take and all of that. And both of those ways don't have me showing up as myself with my full capabilities. And so I'm learning, and my hand is getting tired. So I'm going to switch hands. I'm going to try to do that without dropping my note card. Okay. I don't like holding the phone. Um, but what happened was I got to see how I was placing this requirement on me that I needed to show up and know exactly what I was going to say. And that was going to be how they were going to get the most value. That was how I was going to bring all of my facilitation skills and all of my knowledge into this one experience and have them be having some shifts in awareness that open things up for them in their life. And I realized that the pressure I was putting on myself to do that was getting in the way of me actually showing up and being myself and having access to all of my wisdom and knowledge and tools and facilitation skills and all of that. And my coach coached me on what if it was enough if I just showed up and talked about what I love, and they got to hear about this thing that I love that I've been studying for years and years, and it's my life purpose and calling, and that would be enough. And I had this moment where I felt a combination of sadness and joy and relief because I could see so clearly how I had created conditions that were interrupting my flow, that were preventing me from showing up the way that I wanted to and getting the results that I wanted to and allowing other people to see who I really am. And I was like, oh, now I see it. And it wasn't true. So I think it comes from I was in academia for a really long time, over a decade. And that is a place where people are very much planning things out and structuring their presentations. And there's some that, sure, they have like a topic and they kind of expand on it. But in general, that's the way that we're taught, is that you have to know exactly what you want to say and how you're going to say it. And, you have to go in there and be really clear. And I realized that what I was doing here with just sharing behind the scenes, that was really fun for me. And I enjoyed that. And I didn't believe that I could do work like that and that would actually lead to clients wanting to pay me for it. So like I could work like that, but it wasn't going to get me the business that I wanted. And so in order to get the business that I wanted, I was going to have to work in this other way that doesn't work for me, that actually is what gets in the way of my creative flow, which means people don't see who I am, which means I don't show up and do what I can do, which means nobody wants to work with me because they're not feeling my energy. And I'm not showing up in a way that I can even actually help them in the way that I want to and that I could if I was showing up from my true self, my essence, and not from my wounded, conditioned self. So that breakthrough was huge and it changed how I showed up for the workshop. Okay, back to not needing to retain everything in my head. I facilitated that workshop and people were engaged and they were asking questions and commenting. And I felt like they got some value from it. And I was able to show up in a way that I never had before. And after the workshop, I saw so clearly how I could make it better, how I could explain things better. And oh, yeah, and I didn't include this part and I could do this. And so I woke up in the middle of the night. Middle of the night is when I do my healing and integration, apparently, is what I learned, because I woke up in the middle of the night after the workshop and I had all these ideas about how to make the content better. And I remember laying there in bed and going, okay, I'm having all these ideas. And I started thinking, like, okay, well, then maybe tomorrow I should record the workshop again, just do it again with all of this new insights. And I felt tired. I mean, it was in the middle of the night, but thinking about doing that, it didn't have energy. I wasn't like, oh, yeah, I'm excited. I want to do that. And I also was debating whether I should open up my phone and start taking notes on these things that were coming up. And what I realized in that moment was that when I'm fully present, that's what allows me to integrate these things internally. So I don't need to get up and take notes to put it out externally. If I just lay there and I pretended like I was watching a movie, I'm like, oh, this is really interesting. Okay, let me just lay here and watch all of these insights and not feel like I have to do anything with them. I don't have to rush out, like, oh, now I see it more deeply. So now I need to go and create the next iteration. So, what I realized, really realized in that moment was that when I don't give myself time to fully integrate, when I'm like, oh, I did some work and now I have deeper insights. And so now I need to go and do more work. That's what causes me to go overextend myself and not want to do the work because I'm not in that mode. It actually takes time to integrate, and it's just time. And if I trust it and I'm not like, oh, well, this insight's coming up, let me write that down before it goes. It's like there's this lack of trust that, and I've heard this, and people say this, and oh, if you're a creative, you need to have a notepad with you all time so you can write things down because you don't know when the ideas are going to come up and you don't want to lose them. And I'm like, my ideas come back again and again. The ones that are really there and solid, like they're going to come back. So I don't need to worry about that. I don't need to do that. And so I realized that I was not trusting myself, and I understood more how we actually integrate, how we actually learn. Now I'm not afraid. I know what I want to say about this material the next time I present it. I trust that it's there, and I trust that the cues that I have through some of the visuals, the frameworks that I use, that will remind me of the deeper insights because I allowed myself to really observe and integrate them internally before I I need to change how I was going to say that. So I was going to say before I felt the need to get them out externally, but I didn't feel the need. It was like before I wanted to. So now at this point, I have written some of these down. I think it was in a morning meditation, quiet time. And then I had a lot of thoughts, and I just created a note in my phone, which is a lot of times the way I do it, but not always. And I just wrote down a bunch of stuff. So I know I do have it externally, and it came without me having to put any sort of pressure on myself. It just came out, and I can share it when I want to share it. I don't want to share it right now because what happened is I realized this deeper insight of the way of working that gets in the way. And that's what I'm sharing now because that's what I have energy around. So that's what I wanted to share about that, and about how this tendency that I had to try to retain all of this stuff was actually getting in the way. And it was due to a lack of trust and not understanding the creative cycle, that the integration part is a key part of the creative cycle. And then it's naturally going to start again. So there will be a time when then I will want to talk about all the stuff that I just saw more deeply because I presented it and I got feedback from other people. But right now, I'm in the, oh, now I'm noticing more about the creative process itself, not the how do you heal yourself so that you actually have access to your creative process. The two things, they go together. So the last thing that I wanted to share is over here. And this is something that came to me. I'll come back to this. This is something that came to me. I don't remember exactly how. It was after the workshop, and I was thinking about my identity, and that we are all ultimately creators. We all want to create. We have a drive to experience what we want to experience in life, to express what's inside of us, and to evolve, to keep learning and growing. And so I I just had this image, and it was like of the in LinkedIn when people have their different roles that they play when they describe themselves, and I just saw it like creator, coach, collaborator, because part of being in the space of the workshop with other women, I was like, oh, I wonder if there's collaborations that I could do with other people, because I really enjoy generating ideas with each other and sharing resources. And there's people that have um, things that I don't have, and there's things I have that they don't have, so we can come together against towards a shared vision. And so I just had that vision of like creator, dot or line, coach, and then collaborator as like that's my kind of core identity. So I got out another big sheet of paper and I put that in the center. So I wrote those. And originally I had creator in yellow. I actually tuned into like what are the colors that represent these things, and yellow just because it felt like that's that light within. It's like that's the inner light, but you couldn't really see it. So I added another little like blue green just so you could see it. And coach is in purple because purple to me is that's that color of transformation. And then collaborator is in green. I'm not sure I remember exactly why, but um, anyway, so I did that. And then I decided that I was going to draw a circle around these. So I drew the circle and then I drew the lines coming out because this is really how I see it. This is the center, and then that informs everything else. So immediately I thought of these two other identities because these are the ones that have been coming up for me so much. So, investigator, I really want to understand things. I want to understand life and health and creativity and how we actually create a world that we want to live in, that's fun, that supports our health. And so, I am a teacher and a student always. And then the rebel with a cause, because that's really me tuning into a lot of the things that I learned don't work for me. Like to have a great presentation, you have to be very well prepared, and this is how you prepare, and you need to know what you're going to do. And it, there's so many examples of these where what I've been told does not work for me. And so that's the cause is I want to do what works for me. I want to help other people learn what works for them. A lot of people who become teachers and coaches and mentors, they find out what works for them and then they try to teach it to other people, but it may or may not work for the other people. And then the other people think that, they're doing something wrong. It's just, it's not the best way to be. So I I wrote down those two additional identities and I realized, oh, like this is cool. I have those lines. I can write down a lot of other ones, a lot of the other aspects of who I am. And then it became a task. It was like, oh, now I have to think about it. I'm like, I'm a gardener, I'm a wife, I'm a friend, I'm a musician, I'm this, like what are all the things? And I did not have energy for writing them down. So I left it. It's like, all right, I'm just going to leave those two and I will fill them out over time as they come to me and I want to. So it's the way that I am working is that I don't have to fill everything out right away. It's just like in this one, I just have something in the center and I'm going to fill it out over time and I'm not pressuring myself. What is so cool about this is that a day or two after I started this, I came back and I went, oh my God, the two identities that I started with, one of them starts with IN, and one of them starts with RE, which are the patterns that I noticed over here, where I have a lot of RE words and I have a lot of IN words. And I can't really describe how giddy I got when I found that out because those are the two identities that were coming up for me the most right now. And I started going into what do these prefixes mean? What do they signify? That's like revisiting, review. It's again and again, it's iterative, which is exactly what my work is. It's cyclical, it's iterative. So you don't have to finish it, you don't have to get it right. You can start something and come back to it. And I'm also all about completing a creative cycle. So that has been a challenge for me. I have been the type of person that I have no problem getting started and I will go and go and go, but I don't always complete. something else gets my attention. I've gotten to a hard part that I didn't know how to get through, and so I didn't completing my poem was something that it was one of the first things that I really completed. And so I learned a lot about how to complete the cycle. So I love that re is in my list of things about my program and also my identity. And then internal, inside, it's like that's what this is. It's an inside out. And we're focusing on our internal state of being, not what we're doing in the world and trying to get results externally. Yes, there are outcomes that we want, and that's great. But the primary focus is on the internal state of being. So I share that because that was so fun for me to see. And I found this note card today. So I have lots of stuff in lots of different places. And I found this note card, and this is what it is all about, right? It's leading from your true self, where we're living in intuition and we lead from our true self or our true voice, not our conditioned and wounded self. And what I realized is that I was focusing on my work identity here. And again, if I could do this without having to hold the phone, I would do it right now, but you'll see it in the next iteration. I'm actually going to move coach and collaborator out to the sides and just have creator in the middle, because that's actually what is true for all of us. All of us at our core, we're a creator. And then I'm going to write in, so we're a creator, and what we want is to experience, to express, and to evolve. So that's going to be the center. These things are going to move out over to the sides. And that is what I wanted to share with you all today. And I am looking forward to getting into my rhythm of sharing so that I don't feel like I have so much to share. I didn't share a lot of what came up. I stayed at this kind of higher level with just a little bit of going into examples in detail. And so that is going to be it for today. And I will see you next time as soon as I can find the button. Here we go. All right. Bye.